Oh, Emma pulling out, going deep for the lost music.
I love it.
In our second live post-game show in the All Utah Hockey Podcast era, I'm Petey. This is Craig Morgan. And the Utah Hockey Club, Craig, dropped this one 4-0 to end this long road trip before they finally get to head back home. My initial thoughts, Craig, 4-0 to the Nashville Predators.
The first period was rough, Petey. They got off to such a rough start that they just didn't recover from that. There was a chance, we just talked about this off the air, there was a chance. Nick Schmaltz had a great chance to get him back in that game. UC Saros robbed him like he did everybody all night. But I didn't like the way this team started. I didn't think they were defending well. I thought Connor Ingram gave up a soft goal, and they were in one from the start. I looked at this game as find a way to get a point, and you're playing 500 points percentage on this road trip, but didn't happen. So they got a good win in St. Louis, but overall, not quite what you were hoping for from this road trip.
Craig, I think the Watts hit it right on the head. This is a bad night for a post game. Like we nailed this one, like on the timing. Let's do it. You know, we Craig and I aren't that smart. We're not. Let's do Saturday night. Saturday night, because there is nothing else going on in sports on a Saturday night, right?
Especially in Utah. It's not like there's a big college football game tonight.
They don't watch college football in Utah, do they?
It's not like there's two arch rivals locking horns right now in Salt Lake City. You know.
Well, and the Utah Hockey Club now, this could have been an outstanding trip, honestly. But now they finished this trip 1-2-1, one win in St. Louis, got the overtime loss in Vegas. And to be honest, you can go back and look at this Winnipeg game now and go, holy cow, they were tight against the best team in the history of the game to start a season. So they should be pretty confident. This one was tough. And you look on the schedule, Craig, and this one was tough. Nashville stinks. Nashville is one of the worst teams in the league this season. They lost their last 3 games, didn't score more than 2 goals over the last 3. Last place in the Western Conference, so that's probably a bad time to roll in there for the Utah Hockey Club. And to be honest, another thing, it's bad for the Utah Hockey Club to be there on a Friday night. If you've ever been in Nashville, you may know why. Not that these guys would do that. I don't say they would.
No, I'm sure they did. I'm sure they were in bed by 8.
A few of the staff guys would
probably had salads and were in bed by 8 because there's nothing to do in Nashville. Yeah, listen.
Look at Ken McKenzie.
Nashville doesn't play. Hey, what's up? Long time.
There we go.
Listen, I know Nashville's been playing poorly. We didn't expect Nashville to be this bad. And Barry Trotz read him the riot act the other day. I expect this team to respond. I don't know how much they're going to rebound from this, but they're better than this. So, yeah, it was just a lousy time. It's the end of a long road trip, too, where you're tired.
They looked tired, Craig. They looked tired.
They did. Yeah.
They had nothing. They had no juice. And you get out right at the beginning. And the very start of the game, you look at the defenseman, the young Lamoureux, and is it Lamoureux? Because they like it's always been to me, it's Lamoureux, but now it's Lamoureux. So I don't know. We have to ask somebody. Probably him would be a good idea because the accent now is on the back. But anyway, the youngster turns the puck over through the middle of the ice in the neutral zone again, which leads to a penalty. The penalty leads to a goal for Philip Forsberg, his 7th of the season. Nashville takes the 1-0 lead after they were unable to kill off that penalty. Schmaltz had the best chance of the period, unable to score. Then they take another penalty, and then another penalty. 5-on-3. Killed off the first part of the 5-on-3, and then Jonathan Marchessault gets his 3rd of the season on a power play goal on a tip from Marchessault. The first period ended with shots, 12-4 attempts, 27-11 for Nashville in the first period.
Do you think Andre will be mentioning the penalties in the first period in his postgame
penalties?
We'll come up
I would
penalties,
think
yes.
the penalties. I think the penalties are a problem. They're second in the league in penalties taken per game. It's a problem. We say it every night. And I don't know, Craig, I know you don't watch any of the stuff I put out there, but I do a pregame thing and I talk all the time about stay out of the box. And
You
it's
do
a
video?
broken record. Yeah, I know I
You
do.
do video? I had no idea.
I do. I
Sorry, go ahead.
know. I do. It's kind of like you, right? I haven't read anything you've ever written ever, except the article you wrote about me. I did read that one, but
Yeah,
that's beside the point. Yeah, their start was horrible, and it's hard when you start like this. And I know they're looking forward to getting home after this long week, and it's been a long, dreary week. I know it's been dark and dreary, and guess what? They get to come home to snow. Yay! A lot of snow coming through the Rocky Mountains right now. So a couple of players I want to talk about as we move on. I want to get through this, but let's go to the numbers. I know we've spent some time on this graphic, spent a lot of money on our all Utah hockey budget on this one. Shots on goal finished surprisingly in Utah's favor after they started off so poorly. You saw in the beginning of the second period. Great. They started off great in the second period, out shooting Nashville 5-0 in the first 5 minutes. And the first shot of the period goes in. Then another shot by Forsberg for his 8th of the night. And then shot attempts. Again, I said how poorly they started off in the first. Look at it. Ended up shot attempts 58-41 Utah. Like they really did come back with an offensive push later in this game. Faceoff, surprisingly, Utah's one of the top faceoff teams in the National Hockey League coming into tonight. Like they're top 3, and they got smoked on the faceoffs. I will say this to hockey fans that don't watch a lot of hockey: don't pay a lot of attention to faceoff stats. Some people talk a lot about
thank
it.
you.
I don't.
Yeah.
Like you look at there are faceoffs in a game that are incredibly important. Most of them aren't. Power plays 0 for 2 again on the power plays. Power play is
Go
struggling.
for the road trip, buddy.
0 for the road trip. Nashville gets 2 out of their 4. They are on the man advantage. Hits Nashville 35, one of the biggest hitting teams in the National Hockey League. Utah's 18. But I want to go back to the power play quickly, Craig, because this is one of the things that Andre Tournier, they've struggled for the whole road trip. They have no goals for the road trip, none. They made a big change tonight. They took Barrett Hayton off the top, and I said, well, you'll see Barrett Hayton on the second group. No, you don't see Barrett Hayton in front of the net on either group. So you got Kerfoot in front, net front of the first group, and then Bukestad in the front, net front of the second. I don't know if he's sending a message. And here's one of the things that Craig and I don't know, because maybe Barrett Hayton's hurt, and maybe he's taking a shot up high, or maybe he's in the doghouse, maybe he doesn't feel well. We don't know what the complete reason was, but the reality is power play has struggled. So you mix things up. Craig, thoughts on the power play?
Well, that's it, just there, right? That's probably what's at play here. You're mixing things up. You got to juggle things when you're not going. You're not finding the back of the net very often. So I don't know what the reason is for Barrett Hayton coming off that unit. I've actually liked most of Barrett Hayton's season thus far, but when your power play isn't producing and you're not scoring 5-on-5, you got to try something else to get things working. Alex Kerfoot has been a guy who's been he's been able to fill a lot of different roles. Jack of all trades. Maybe he's a guy who can ignite it. Didn't happen tonight, Petey. Didn't happen at all.
No. And you know what's really interesting, Craig? And I'm going to throw this number at you. This is a number that we don't have a graphic on. But this is the second time this team has been shut out on this road trip. They've been shut out 4 times now in 15 games. 4 times, 15 games. I don't major in math, and don't anybody. Like, this is when we need CWP in the chat to do the math. 4 times in 15 games. Do you want to hear an interesting statistic, Craig? Because I'm here with the Nuggets. Because in our previous life, Leah would come with the Nuggets, but we don't have Leah to give us Nuggets, so I have to come with Petey's Nuggets. And here's
Are you throwing shade at Emma? Emma, you should come on screen just to scold him for that.
No, Leah's the host. Leah would come up with Leah's Nuggets. It wasn't Emma's job to get Nuggets. Leah got the Nuggets.
I still feel like Emma should throw shade at you, though, for it.
No, I'm the host. I got to come up with the Nuggets. It has nothing to do with Emma.
Nothing,
get
Emma?
The Nuggets.
You got nothing?
No, but get the Nuggets. I can get you some Nuggets.
So here's my nugget. They've been shut out 4 times in 15 games, twice on this road trip. Last season, this franchise, in their previous edition in Arizona, you know how many times this franchise, before they moved to Utah, so it's a different franchise, you know how many times they were shut out last season as the Arizona Coyotes? Do you have any idea? In the entire 82-game season, any idea?
Lay it on me, buddy. Lay it on me.
2. They were shut out twice in 82 games, and one of those was in the last week of the season. They were shut out once through 75 games, and they've been shut out 4 times in 15. That is a humongous problem. Like, that is huge if you get a shot 4 times in 15 games. Come on, buddy.
Let's just go ahead and say it, though. They are missing Sean Durzi, and obviously they don't even know what they have in John Marino, but those are 2 really big pieces of this team that would be helping ignite their offense by getting the puck out of the defensive zone quickly, by coming through the neutral zone with speed. They're missing those guys, BD. They've got a lot of steady guys, right? A lot of steady guys right now. I've liked Michael Kessering's game in spurts. Sergachev is logging ridiculous minutes, but they just don't have enough of that element right now.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. The offensive side of it, I really like Kessering. I don't think Lamoureux right now can provide that offense. I think he should be. I think he's a guy that should be providing offense, but not in Utah. And we're going to get to that in a minute. But that's something else. So Kessering, you're right. Craig, you're right. I'm fine with Kessering, but then again, it's situational. So today, again, I got to look back at my notes. Kessering, shot from a bad angle, leads to a Stamkos chance. That turnover leads to the next penalty, which led to the 5-on-3. All from an offensive zone turnover because Michael Kessering takes a slap drive from the hash marks on the boards, which led to a breakout. Offensively, he is what they have. Sergachev even has been a little disappointing offensively. Let's be honest. He hasn't adjusted to this system, this team, this franchise offensively, as I think a lot of people were expecting, including myself. And I think defensively he's been good. He's playing a lot of minutes.
Yeah,
but that side of it, right?
Yeah.
For sure. And that's where you talk about missing Durzi and Marino because you're getting different situations, different matchups for him. He's got to play he's penalty kill, power play, and 5-on-5. He's out there all the time. So, offense has been a problem. But beyond that, it's interesting because we had Dominic Moore on earlier in the week. And one of the things he said, we were talking at that time, that Keller and Schmaltz were broken up. And we asked him, what was one of the advantages of having them broken up? And he said, the problem with those two is they're both pass first guys and they both look for each other. And again, tonight, those two, this is the second game in a row where they played together again. Watch them from the blue line in. They don't even think about putting the puck on net. It's how far and how many sticks can I pass through to get the puck to Schmaltz, or Schmaltz says, hey, how can I get this puck to Keller? It's crazy. And then you see it again tonight. The only line that seemed to be providing offense and putting the puck forward was the Michelli, Gunther, Cooley line.
Yeah,
they're the
only
line.
That
yeah, I do too. Yeah. I think they've looked great, and they're the line that's trying to push the puck toward the net at least. But I'm concerned that the Schmaltz Keller line, and the elephant in the room, Nick Schmaltz, offensive guy, you need him to provide offense, has been a first line center for most of his career in this franchise. No goals through 15 games.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we've talked a lot about what's Nick Schmaltz's future with this club. Talked a lot about maybe they should have traded him at the deadline last year when he had some value. You need to make sure that you maximize this asset. I do not think Nick Schmaltz is with the Utah Hockey Club past his current contract. I don't think he's even going to last his current contract because I think they will move him at the deadline either this year or next year. But you need to get something out of Nick Schmaltz to get requisite value. And right now, I mean, I know he's got the 12 assists, I think, right now, but he has no goals. He has no goals. You got to score in this league. Sorry.
Yeah. Brandon said in the chat, Schmaltz not scoring so far in this season is not acceptable. And you know what? 100%. When you have a player like Nick Schmaltz in your lineup and getting the touches he gets in the offensive matchups, the offensive faceoffs, he's got to provide goals. Like he has to. And people that have seen me before talk about Nick Schmaltz, I think Nick Schmaltz is incredibly talented. I think he can skate. I think he can protect the puck, get puck in the net. I like the offensive ability of a player like Nick Schmaltz. However, we talk about the consistency of a Nick Schmaltz, and right now, Nick Schmaltz isn't delivering the puck to the net as often as he should. And when he gets an opportunity like tonight, that's puck luck. Like that's a hell of a move. He gets a nice pass. He comes in front of the goaltender, and UC Saros gets a toe on it. It's a great save. It's the save of the game. And he does need one to go in, and maybe he can start getting this offense. But this team, it's struggling to get off, like struggling for offense. And here's my thought. I don't know much about Munch, Craig, but on a team that struggles to provide offense and when you cannot score, because trust me, I've been around a lot of them. I don't know that maybe it's my fault. Well, clearly it's not because I'm not there anymore. You need to simplify your game. There is no more looking to put pucks into the middle of the ice, or once you cross the blue line, stop trying to make that second or third pass. Just stop it. Stop trying to make those extra passes because they don't. To make 2 or 3 passes consecutively in the National Hockey League tape to tape is nearly impossible. And I'll tell you why, because the team you're playing against is really good, fast, and have great sticks because they're defending and they're trying to get in your way. It's hard to do that. Everybody's so good on the ice. So what Utah needs to do, come out in the next game and they need to deliver pucks to the net. They have to shoot the puck
Pucks
on
and
net.
bodies, right?
Pucks and bodies at the net. It's honestly, I've watched more games than most people. And I'm telling you, somebody asked me the other day, what's the trend in offense in the National Hockey League right now? How are people scoring? And I'm talking the best teams in the league to the worst teams in the league. The best way to score right now is pucks low to high in the zone, which means from near the goal line up to the blue line, shoot the puck with everybody going. So you're looking at tips, screens, off shin pads, rebounds, pucks laying in the crease. Everybody is doing it. The teams that are doing it more successfully and more often are those teams that are having success offensively. Utah does not do that enough. To your point, Craig, part of it is Durzi and his ability. They don't have that guy that can get that puck through. And they've got to find a way to change their angle on the blue line and get pucks through. But they do need to find a way to get offense.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember the wide drive by Lawson Crouse. They need more of that as well. Just go to the net. If you have that opportunity, get the puck to the net. You might even create a rebound, something like that. But they've got to do things like that. I want to see that from Lawson Crouse a little more. I know he got used to playing with Michelli and maybe being more of a guy who finds space. And Michelli would get the puck to him. But he's a power forward. He's got to get to the net. He's got to create greasy goals like that.
Where is Lawson Crouse this season?
I mean, the
other
parts of his game, right?
Is it his line mates? Oh yeah, without a doubt. But offensively, when you saw Bukestad, Michelli, and Crouse get on the ice together over the last 2 seasons, you're like, oh my goodness, there's magic happening. And right now, and it's not Crouse. It's all of them. It's Schmaltz, it's Bukestad, it's Michelli. They just don't have that little oomph offensively that we're so used to seeing from all of these guys. And with Crouse right now, he is getting some opportunities. It's rolling off his stick. It's going over the net. He had a great opportunity in Winnipeg, and he missed the net. And so he's getting those chances. But it's frustrating to watch because you know that he can produce. You know Bukestad can produce. Bukestad's really struggled since his return too. So they're going to have to find a way. Somebody is going to have to help provide the offense. I don't know who that is. So I want to get back to something, Craig.
Okay.
Well, one of the things was Gunther. What's that?
I got something on my plate here too, but you go first.
Well, I just wanted to say Gunther, it leads all NHL goal scorers under 21 with 7. So that's a thing. That's a good thing. But I want to talk about Maveric Lamoureux. Yeah, that's good though. I thought actually it's better.
What the hell just happened there?
It's better.
No, it's not better, Petey.
It's not better?
No.
Okay.
What happened?
Well, you probably open another web page on your well, now it's just the Petey show.
Yeah,
actually, I bet your ratings now our ratings might go up. But that brings up what I was talking about Maveric Lamoureux. So Maveric Lamoureux comes in as a stopgap when everybody's injured.
Hi.
There you are. Much better. So Maverick Lamoureux comes in as a stopgap when there's injuries to Durzi, and you talk about Marino, and they were shorthanded on the back end. So then you see Maverick Lamoureux come up. I still believe now, Craig, you have Robert Bortuzzo sitting out. You have Kolyachonok sitting out. You have 2 healthy scratch defensemen. What do you think is the next step with Maverick Lamoureux?
I don't know how much longer he's going to be here. Honestly, I thought he was okay actually tonight. I did see some mistakes, but I don't think this is the right environment for him, Petey. I don't think he's at the point where he should be playing in the NHL. And I understand what they're doing. They're giving him a taste, and they've liked some of what he's given them so far. And we know what they're lacking. It's not like they have an abundance of it down in Tucson where they can bring somebody in to replace maybe what he does. But again, when I think about the Utah Hockey Club, when I think about this franchise, it's not about the now. I know that's hard for fans to hear that maybe aren't used to hearing that. We've been saying that for the last few years, of course. But it's about the future, and you want to make sure that you are putting your players, your prospects, your key guys for the future in the best situation, the best development situation, so that they pan out for you long term. I like the fact that he got this opportunity. Again, he showed some things. I think Maveric Lamoureux belongs right here in Tucson. I'm wearing the Roadrunner thing tonight.
And Craig, I didn't mind him coming up getting a taste to see, hey, here's how fast this game is. Here's the level you need to be able to get your game to. This is what this is all about. I think that's great for a young player to get that opportunity to see, oh my goodness, this is how I fit in. To your point tonight, yeah, there were some good things. There were. But I go to an instance in the second period where he's going back to get the puck. And he's going and he's got a Nashville Predator behind him coming in hot. And I don't know what that feeling would be like. I don't understand. I'd be terrified, knowing I'm going to get checked into the boards. But he slaps the puck one-handed and he gets out of the way and it's a turnover.
Yeah.
So, and here's the point. If that's in the American League right now, and it's the exact same play, exact same situation, one, he's got more confidence because he's playing against somebody that he's doesn't have the skill and the speed of the player that's chasing him now. He's got more time to make his decision.
Yes.
Now he holds on to the puck and he takes the net. And now he helps the team break out and he joins. So I think he learns better habits in a slower game. I think he can learn here in the National. He can. But you're going to get limited ice time. You're not going to play in all the situations you're going to play on in Tucson. And when you're in Tucson, you have time to make decisions and the game is slower. And you can do things the way you were drafted to do. Like you want him to be able to move the puck up the ice. He doesn't have time now. It's too fast. Yeah. Game's way too fast for him. So I'm thrilled that he got an opportunity. I don't think he's had anything egregiously wrong here, but I do think it's time for him to go to Tucson, get Kolyachonok back in, rotate Bortuzzo in when you need him, and let this kid go down and develop.
And like you said, just to underscore one of the points you made, it's about habits, right? It's about reps and developing good habits. When you do have the time, you're going to do the right thing and you're going to do it over and over again. You'll get used to that. You'll get confidence. You'll make the right plays. And then at some point you'll get back up, you'll get another opportunity, but you develop those good habits. And we know how good that staff is down there at getting these guys on track, at developing these guys, giving them opportunities to play in those situations and working with them. What are you laughing at?
I'm just reading the comments. Kenny Dietz he said we should have criticized Crouse more. I think is where he was going with it because we jumped on Mavlam. I'm not criticizing Mavlam, and I'm not giving Crouse a free pass. I'm saying there's many guys on this team that you can single up that have struggled. They just have. I don't think Crouse has done it from a lack of effort. But yeah, absolutely. But I throw Bukestad in there, throw Carconi in there, Michelli in there. Michelli's looked the best with this line mates. I'll say that.
Michael Carconi, I talked about him in the neutral zone that I wrote this past week, looking for a new home, like a lot of third and fourth line players would be looking for homes. But if you want a new home, you better take advantage of the minutes that you have when you get in there. And you didn't do that. So listen, I know people are wondering what's happening with Michael Carconi. They're not going to trade Michael Carconi for less than they think he's worth. Plus,
he got 20 goals.
You know how this, he's a 20 goal scorer in this league. Are you getting requisite value for him right now? And oh, by the way, this is a National Hockey League. You're going to have injuries up front. So what are you going to need? You're going to need a goal scorer. So unless somebody comes in and gives them a good offer, Michael Carconi's not going anywhere. I want to make it clear that Utah is not shopping Michael Carconi. They may be fielding offers because it's out there that he wants a new home. They are not shopping Michael Carconi.
Yeah, and the reality is, Craig, you said the same thing about Nick Schmaltz. Like, what's the trade value of a guy that has, like a Nick Schmaltz, has no goals in 15 games? Well, Carconi now is 0 for 5. Not just in goals, he's got no points in 5. And you want a goal scorer that scored 20 goals in this league, he's got no points in 5 games, and he's a -2. Like, you're not going to get what you want for him. Could you move him? I think you probably could. Somebody would take a chance on him and maybe put him down as the 13th, maybe. But you're not going to get anything for him. No. So if you're not getting anything for him, why don't you keep him? Because I'll get Kenny Dietz all fired up. I like Michael Carconi. He's one of the guys I really liked on last year's teams. I thought he should have been in a more opportunity. I thought he should have played more last year with the Arizona Coyotes than he did. Right now, he is just added to the long list of Utah Hockey Club members that just haven't found it this year. And that's a long list right now. I think Keller has shown glimpses of what we expect out of Clayton Keller, but even Clayton Keller, who has been the offensive leader of this club this season, even Keller at times 13 points in 15 games hasn't been He's almost a point a game guy, but that's what we say about Keller. He sneakily gets these points, but it's shut out 4 times, man, in 15 games.
I want to ask you about a different aspect of this team, and I know that you did a kind of a deep dive on analytics recently. You're a convert now. You're an analytics guru. So, what do you make of Utah's goaltending thus far this season?
This is funny because this came up in the SCG chat that we were watching during the game, where people were really hard on Connor Ingram.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge Connor Ingram fan. I thought he should have been in the All-Star game a season ago.
Agreed.
But he is not playing to that level right now. Now, do I say this is his fault? Where this team is, they haven't scored in 4 of the 15 games. It's not on the goaltending. Goaltending's been okay. It's been okay.
I mean, his underlying numbers are not even good. Aside from the team stats, like, we talked about goals saved above expected. He's not good in that department either. When you look at the game tonight, the first goal, you and I were talking about it in text. He overplayed it. He was trying to fight, trying to track the puck around a screen, and he got himself out of position too far outside the net and just exposed the net. That was, it was not a good read. He didn't track the puck well on that goal. You're down 1-0. There are other issues on this team, though, as you mentioned. This team, and I know you're on board with this one. I'm preaching to the choir here. This team doesn't defend well enough.
No. And I will start with the goaltending, Craig. And it's Connor Ingram coming back to Nashville, the team that Utah picked him up for while he was with Arizona. So you expect him to go into Nashville and kind of give it to him a little bit. Like, hey, he was going to be the goalie of the future there. Like, he really was. Like, they were very, very high on Connor Ingram. Like, they liked Connor Ingram a lot. They thought they were going to sneak him through waivers, and they didn't. And now he becomes the starting goalie for the Utah Hockey Club. But he hasn't played to his consistent game that he has over the last 2 seasons. He hasn't. And unfortunately for him, he has to be perfect. He has to be flawless if you want to give this team a chance, because they're not scoring for him. As far as defensive zone systems and the way this team plays in the defensive zone, the one guy that I was concerned about coming in was Ian Cole. That you go, okay, here's a guy that not as fleet of foot. He's experienced, knowledgeable guy, and but he's a 7th on a really good team. And again, no knock on the guy. People confuse being honest with being negative. Ian Cole's going to be a 7th defenseman on most teams that are vying for a Stanley Cup. That's a fact. That if people want to argue with me, that's fine. But what Ian Cole did tonight, block shots, got in shooting lanes, uses his stick to defend. And you know what? He didn't take risky chances in the defensive zone that his feet couldn't answer for. Meaning he's not taking chances higher than the hash marks or deeper into the corner where he can't make up for that with his foot speed. So he's smart enough to understand his limitations with his feet, so he doesn't get himself in trouble. And so he protects the area of the ice that you most want him to protect, which is the front of the net. And sometimes this team fails to do that with the guys that have a D by their name in their standings, meaning in the roster, which is the defenseman. You want the defenseman defending in front of the net. And sometimes that doesn't happen here. So right now, if I'm this team struggling this mightily, and I know this sounds awful, and it's for a team that's struggling this bad, Craig, it's off the glass and it's out. We're not making any more plays in the defensive zone. We're not. Because watch this team in the next game, and we'll talk about the upcoming schedule soon. But this team trying to get out of the defensive zone, there are so many pucks thrown into the middle of the ice for turnovers or not clean breakouts. They fumble the puck and then they lose it right after the blue line because that's not a clean play. Right now, that puck is we call it same side chipping. And as long as everybody knows you're same side chipping and the next guy in the layer knows it's coming off the wall, you can actually turn that into a really good breakout system where you can attack with speed. Washington Capitals, watch them break out. It stays along the wall. They don't come in the middle of the ice. It goes chip, 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 chip. And they play with their speed and they get up the ice. Utah's got to play more simple in their game. It's got to be off the glass and out. It's got to be over the red and in. And it's got to be back to the blue line and shoot. And they've got to try that for a game, because when we look at the upcoming schedule, buddy, it does not get any easier.
Yeah. And do we have that upcoming schedule, Emma? Because
might as well get to it, Emma. Let's get to the upcoming schedule. And right now, after this tough road trip, a 1-2-1 on this road trip, the Utah Hockey Club comes home. They're off until Wednesday, so they have a couple of days to relax and heal their wounds and get some rest but they face the Carolina Hurricanes, who are currently playing and beating Colorado on their way to their 9th straight win.
Yeah, these next two opponents are cup contenders.
And then they play Vegas. And Vegas is a team that they took to overtime, but Vegas is, hey, these are two of the best teams in the National Hockey League, vying for a Stanley Cup rolling into Utah.
Yep.
They need to get their act together now.
Bill Armstrong was talking about the schedule in November, December, said it's going to make or break us. We're going to have to find ways to stay in games. Again, I can't underscore this enough. Having Jersey and Marino out of the lineup really matters. It really matters to this team. So take everything with a grain of salt and understand that there are still better days ahead. We've been preaching this for a few years now. But I mean, this thing could go south really fast, Petey, if they don't figure out.
I got to give some breaking news because I hate giving wrong stats and I don't want to be lying to people. The Hurricanes were ahead and now they are behind 5-4 with 15 minutes left to go in Colorado. So let's get them really grumpy coming off a loss before they head to Utah for the first time. I do though think, Craig, you're right. The wheels can come off quickly because you lose 2 more here. And now this season changes from a season of hope to a season of let's hang on and start looking for draft picks again. And here's the frame of mind I think Utah fans need to be in.
Tankathon?
I think the beginning of the season, I will get there. I think the beginning of the season, there was so much hope because it's a shiny new toy and everybody was thrilled to have the team. And I think if they are injury free right now, I really believe this. If Marino and Jersey are playing right now, I think they're in a better position than they are right now. Now, does that mean I think they're knocking down the door of the Central Division lead or one of the best teams in the league? No, I don't. But they're better where they are now. Yeah. And so that has definitely put them in a spot where now you look 15 games in and you go, okay, now there's a level of concern. And now if you have 2 more and you're almost to the 20 game mark, the 1 quarter poll is a week away. The 1 quarter poll, 20 games. And now you're looking at yourself going, okay, we're in trouble. And now it's what's the point? What can we gain from this season moving forward to build this franchise for a longer period of time? And you're right, Greg.
It's hard too, because what do? You don't want to listen. I know some people have been asking me, are they going to make another trade for another defenseman? No, because you don't want to give up important pieces of your future for a team that, Bill Armstrong has been very candid, probably not a playoff team yet. But you don't want to see it go really far south where you don't feel like they're making progress. And again, it's really difficult to evaluate this team without those 2 key players on the back end. It's not like you have guys that you can call up that can fill those roles. You've got Kevin Connaughton down there who is just another depth defenseman. You don't have those pieces quite ready to fill in these sorts of cracks. You are building organizational depth because of the drafts that you've had and all the pieces that you've acquired, but they're just not ready yet. So it's a really tough position to be in. We know about that Thanksgiving cutoff, right? The old Elliott Friedman Thanksgiving cutoff, teams that are not in a playoff spot as early as American Thanksgiving, we have to say it. Because there's also,
by the way,
apparently a Canadian Thanksgiving. Anyway, teams that are not in a playoff position by American Thanksgiving, by and large, they don't make the playoffs.
Yeah, it's 80% of the teams. 80% of the teams that are in a playoff spot by American Thanksgiving make the playoffs. So you do the math. That's not many teams are going to sneak in. And hey, preface that whole thing, Craig, with the Utah Hockey Club. I don't think ever had visions of a playoffs this season. And that
maybe in the room they did, right?
Yeah, maybe in the room and maybe the coaching staff. But Bill Armstrong, he sat and told us in the over the summertime that I mean, everybody, if you're not saying you don't want to make playoffs, you're lying because you're in professional sport. You want to make the playoffs, but you're also realistic looking at what you've got on paper, and you go, okay, maybe not this year. But to your point, Craig, the pieces are there. Like you talk about that Michelli, Gunther, Cooley line, and I think it's been the best line over the last 2 games. What about that line 3 years from now? And you got Simashev and Boot in your lineup, and now Maverick Lamoureux is playing every single night. Now you're going, oh, okay, this is a lot different now. So
there's more pieces than that, right? There's more pieces than that even. Like Artem Duda had a goal tonight in Tucson. Really curious about what he can do. There's a lot of pieces.
Yeah, there are a lot of good pieces. And read Craig's prospect report. There's your pump, Craig. Read Craig's prospect report at ALLCITYNetwork.com to find out all the prospects for this Utah Hockey Club. But you're right.
Yeah.
Including Josh. We haven't even talked about Josh Doan. They played tonight too, and I didn't get a chance to check out the score. I'm sure you weren't glued into that score. We were prepping so hard for this game that we
That's
did
right.
not looking to see what the score of the Tucson
They were
Road
down
Runner
2-1
game.
last time I looked, but
Okay. But yeah, there are some good pieces. And that's why
Yeah.
I saw something, Craig, I wanted to just briefly touch on. I saw in the SEG chat during the game, and people were upset that people were being negative. And I want people to really listen to our tone and what we're saying here. I think there are some negative aspects to the way this team is playing right now. And then that includes their lack of offense. They're taking too many penalties and their inability to defend at times. And I don't think their goaltending has been elite enough to put them in the spot they want to be in. However, that is not negative. That's just reality. And I think when they're healthy and the players start developing in the appropriate way, and I believe we've said this before, believe in Bill Armstrong and his plan on development. And when these players develop, I think this Utah Hockey Club is going to be in a really good spot. They just have to have a little bit of patience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's it in a nutshell. And it's hard probably for a new fan base to hear, because you get so excited about what they might accomplish. They get off to a 3-0 start. You've got national pundits saying this is a playoff team, a sneaky playoff team. Probably a little too much hype there. I mean, if you had asked both of us at the start of the season if this was a playoff team, both of us would have said no. Just quite bluntly, we would have said no. They're not ready yet.
Right.
I think they were a fashionable pick, but I don't think people looked at some of the, the deficiencies or the youth of this team quite deeply enough. And of course, if Dursey and Marino are both playing, they are a little better, but I still don't think they're quite ready to make that leap yet, especially in this conference.
Yeah, and I don't think that's a bad thing to say that either. Just being realistic with a team that's just not quite there yet. And I think one of the things they shot out of the gate and wins in their first three, I think that got people really excited. Heck, we were too. So it's okay, Craig. I'm trying to find out who scored down there, and I just can't figure out how to work this website. So that's where we need Emma. Like, we need Emma to figure out. Well, I'm not just smart enough.
Just on your point, though. On your point about, the 3-0 start, when I talked to Bill Armstrong earlier this week, he said just that. He said, the 3-0 start, everybody gets excited and think, oh, here we go. This is a playoff team. But when you look at the situation, including, again, I know we've said this a million times in the show, those two defensemen out, what if we're right where we're supposed to be? And it kind of feels like Utah is right where they're supposed to be.
Yeah, I think so too, and I think when you see them get wins, they get a win against a good St. Louis Blues team. St. Louis is a good team. They take Vegas to overtime. It's another good hockey team, and you get points like that. I know we're both laughing at the same thing. it's inside jokes here at the All Utah Hockey. But no, it's fine. This is Craig. This is us. This is our life.
We got our producer trying to rein us in here. That's what's happening.
But
it doesn't
does
work
she also,
usually, but...
Craig, do you look at the clock? It is 9:30 Mountain Time, buddy. And I am not making this up for people that always think I'm lying about this. I would be in bed right now. I swear I'd be in bed right now.
You saying it's time to sign off?
No, I'm just saying, people, like, if I'm a grumpy Gus, sometimes it's maybe I need more sleep. I'm old. So now look at this. Utah team now has to get on a plane, and they have to fly all the way back to Utah tonight. It's going to be a late night tonight. So I'm imagining they get tomorrow off. Tomorrow's a Sunday. They'll get Sunday off. They don't play until Wednesday. I wouldn't be surprised if they skate Monday, maybe get another day off, or take the morning skate off, one of those 2 days before they play Carolina. Because Carolina might be the best all-around team they've played so far this season. And
we've seen this with Utah's staff, right? With all the sleep information that they have and the rest information. We've seen, like, there were times where we'd look at Andre Toure and you'd say, are you guys ever going to practice again? Because that's the NHL schedule. It's grueling. And when you start to dive into the sports science of it, sleep and rest are every bit as important as those practices.
Yeah. And it's funny because this travel wasn't easy either. Like, you started off in Vegas. From Vegas to Winnipeg to St. Louis to Nashville, that's tough. And you keep going farther east. And we always said when we were traveling, it'd be great to start east and start working your way back west as you start to get closer to home. And unfortunately, the farthest east they've been on this entire trip now is in Nashville, Tennessee. And it's just unfortunate. Now they have a really long flight coming home tonight. So that really puts your body off. They haven't been in the mountain time zone for a while now, and that takes you a while. So I hope that, and I know that Andre will give them the rest that they need. I know he will, because he's very big on that. You talked about that. We think we'll see Connor Ingram again, or would you be surprised if we see Karel Vejmelka in the next?
I would not be surprised at all if we saw Veg in the next game. We'll see. Again, I don't want to throw too much shade on Connor Ingram this early, especially up to the season he crafted last year. I thought he was incredible for most of that year, but he doesn't look like the same guy right now. And you're probably at a point where you're trying to find some magic. So I wouldn't be surprised if they went to Karel in the next game.
Yeah, I think right now, Craig, here's the deal. When you're sitting in a coach's room like that and you get shut out 2 out of the 4 games, you've been shut out 4 times. Right now, they are throwing stuff at the wall. I'm telling you right now, I don't want to say desperate, because desperate's the wrong term. You're trying to find an answer to something. And you saw it tonight in the power play. Barrett Hayton's off the power play. So let's try something different on the power play. Okay, that didn't work. Okay, let's try a different line. Okay, that didn't work. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if you see some lineup changes. Liam O'Brien, we talked about him earlier, hasn't played in 5 straight now. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Liam O'Brien come into the lineup, even against Carolina. And the reason is Liam O'Brien brings energy. And this team right now needs a spark. So maybe that's Liam O'Brien. I think you'll see changes to the lineup come Carolina. I really do. And I think it's time to see if it's Liam O'Brien. I think Kolya Chonak might come in. We talked about Mavlam coming out of the lineup. You got to try stuff. You've got in a position, because you said this could get out of control in a hurry. And you can't start losing 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in a row. You can't. You've got to find a way to get wins.
Well,
all right,
Craig. Thank everybody for sticking with us on a Saturday night after a tough loss. With
a lot of familiar faces, Craig.
Right now. Thanks for being here, everybody. We appreciate it. We'll keep you posted. We're going to have a second show every week, but it's kind of going to float because, as Petey mentioned, we can't do these late nights anymore. We're old. So we might take a poll of Utah fans and ask what the best time slot is. Just a warning, knowing the two of us, Emma won't like this at all. One of our time slots that we throw out as an option might be 5 a.m. So not sure how you feel about that.
I would be. Hold on, Petey, before you go, 5 in the morning?
Yes.
What are you on?
So we both get up. We text each other at 5 a.m.
We do. And most people aren't allowed to text. Like, if I get a text at 5 in the morning, I literally go, well, it's Craig. And I don't get mad. Like, other people text me at 5, I'll be mad. But I know it's Craig, and he knows I'm up, and I know he's up. And Stan Wilson, the former equipment manager of the Arizona Coyotes, he's the other one that he can call me before 6. There's 2 people on the planet that can do well. My wife, but she better be home. But that's a whole nother story. So we might be starting the 6 a.m. coffee with Craig and Petey.
No.
And then Emma will just stay up all night. Emma will stay up all night.
No. I think we'll probably have a different producer if we do the 6 a.m. show.
Well, but guys, no, we got to talk about this off air. This is not a conversation to have live.
I think it's a
right
poll.
Now. No, it's not.
Yeah. Joel's in. Joel Pretty is in.
That's awesome.
Sign off. Joel's in. Mike Matheson's in for sure. I know he's up early.
Look at this. We're going to have a huge crowd at 6 a.m. I love it.
But you know what? We are really happy that people tuned in today. I know there's a lot of other options. So we're glad you found us here at the All Utah Hockey Podcast. And we are going to throw in different shows at different times. We're trying to figure out what works. It's a new market for us too. And so we're just trying to find our way. I just want to say thanks for everybody coming in today. For Craig Morgan and Petey, make sure you subscribe to the All Utah Hockey YouTube channel and get our podcast wherever you get your podcast. Follow Craig at Craig S. Morgan. Follow me at S. Peters Hockey. Follow the show at all_Utah Hockey. Utah loses this one 4-0 to finish the road trip 1-2-1. We will see you guys next Wednesday. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you at the rink.
We all silly like the mayor.